All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Baste Records livecast. I'm your host, Matthew Azrieli. Today I'm joined by an incredible guy, Seneca Scott. He's a community organizer in Oakland, California. I met him pretty recently, although I won't say where. But Seneca, such a pleasure to have you on the pod.
Thank you, Matthew. Pleased to be here. Let's jump into it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your history in Oakland, how you got involved in organizing, and then how you turned over to the dark side. What happened?
Well, interesting phrasing. I think we're on the light side, but
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, listen, the side
I mean, if
of
if you were to ask the
yeah.
people here, although California's flipping, look at those electorate maps. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I come from a family with a legacy of civil rights, um, and working class family. Very a heavy emphasis on education, like the old school Black families used to be. I don't know if people know this. If you're not Black, you may not know this, or if you don't have Black friends. But the tradition of Southern Black migrants is very, very conservative. Um, just think about it. It centers around church and faith and family and community and self-determination. And so you boil all that down, it doesn't seem like the values of today's left very much at all. Um, and so I'm hearing impaired. I work with glasses and stuff. That's an important part of my character arc because I grew to not like bullies. And one of the things that drove me throughout my adult life was to make sure that people didn't get bullied. And I was an athlete. I went and played sports for at least the first part of college before I got hurt at Cornell University. I played football and ran track, did both in high school. I actually had ROTC my first year.
Oh, nice.
I was hiding my hearing impairment. I went to basics the summer prior and Great Lakes for Navy and everything. So I went to boot camp and not very many people who get ROTC do basics. I wanted to do that because my plan was to be a combat officer. I didn't want the enlisted guys like just some college kid, and I was like, no, I went to basics and boot camp and all of that shit. But they found out I was lying and kicked me out. But I got a year for free, so it's all good. I got a medical discharge, but to this day, I still have lots of friends who are veterans, and I'm a member of a nonprofit called Guardian Grange, which is veteran power, mental health and medicine work and psychedelics for mostly tier 1, 2, 3 special ops. Like a lot of actually, it's founded by a former Navy SEAL, Mark Mester Delafleur, and so I still train with a lot of those guys and shoot and run drills and stuff like that, even though I was never technically in the military. So that's a little bit of my background. I got out of got a question?
Yeah, actually. So, I mean, psychedelics in the military, I mean, particularly MDMA, has been shown to be pretty effective in treating PTSD. What do you think about that new frontier of medicine?
Oh man, I don't have PTSD unless you talk about Oakland politics, which is bloody enough. But all I can say is what they say, and they find it incredibly healing. I think one of the issues of why, if you watch the Sean Ryan show and other platforms where you're starting to see a lot of these former operators turn into sort of like, I want to say hippies. They're still more than able and willing to do the job if they believe in it, but they're having a reflective moment of what the heck were we doing over there? Who were we fighting for? And the things that you do when you're fighting asymmetrically are very dark and disturbing. And so you have that on your conscience. Imagine having on your conscience that you poisoned the water supply for an entire village and children died so that you could install a warlord of your choice.
Really?
And then you lose friends, and then you look back 15 years later when you're safe and sound at home, and the conditions of those people hasn't improved at all. How would you feel knowing that you did those things? I mean, that's just like one story of countless of things that we do in war. War is hell. So I think it is helpful. I'm not a psychedelic expert. I do know that many of them typically use a lot of them. MDMA is probably the least frequent that I hear, but a lot of them use the one with the tree stuff, the abacan, and all types of like. I'm not a big.
Psilocybin, yeah, the
Yeah,
mushrooms.
all of them. They do that a lot. That's a big one, which but kind of like entry level psychedelics, mushrooms and stuff like that. Although they can be incredibly strong, and you can have a profound experience. I once a year. I mean, I haven't done it in a few years, but typically once a year, I would go and do a heroic dose of shrooms and just kind of be that would be my psychotherapy for the year, and I would sort of do a thorough audit of myself and my conduct and how much I was pleased with myself and my conduct. And you're forced to be honest with that when you're in that space. And, it's not a heal all, obviously. Otherwise, everybody who did any psychedelics would be walking around totally fine, and there are lots of wackadoos
Right.
who are perma-stoned on those things. So,
They're one-shotted, right? They call it being one-shotted by
I never heard of that one. What's that mean?
So that's from a tweet by a Twitter account called Landshark, where essentially he talks about very normal people who are part of the managerial class, and then essentially they do LSD or they do some similar kind of psychedelic, say ayahuasca, and then they quit their jobs. Yeah, exactly. They leave their longtime romantic partners and they become, I don't know, clowns in a circus somewhere, and you never hear from them ever again. So they essentially get
I've seen a few
one-shot.
of those. And you know what? Maybe it's better off for them that way.
You make a
I
good
won't say
point.
it's not. If they're having happy, fulfilling lives, it's their life. As long as they didn't hurt anyone, like leave children or people who depended on them,
Yeah. Well,
no harm, no foul.
well, that's what happened with. They say that's what happened with Luigi, right? This United Healthcare killer, right? That
Oh,
he,
that's why he went crazy and
yeah,
cut the shoes.
supposedly.
Yeah, that was a weird one that people would like. You can ignore what people do. You can judge it, but to ignore it and understand and not understand it is to your own detriment. And I think that that's a good. Let me get back to my history. Anyway, for those who were for the pause, I came to Oakland. I came to California to work for unions. I did that through most of my 20s and first half of my 30s. Worked for a lot of unions. Oh, excuse me. Oh, cold stuff.
You're excused.
And when I came to the East Bay, I was the East Bay director of SCIU 1021. So I was the union boss for the city. And pretty intense job. We had a bunch of strikes. We had a transit strike for a BART, which was national news, to be in, the early 30s negotiating pretty high level labor deals. It's pretty much the pinnacle of my union career before I left in 2014 and moved to Oakland, sort of like burnt out, but I started an urban farm. I thought I was done now I'd never been in politics, even when I was well, not now, but before this. When I was with the unions, I organized. And when it came to anything political, I would tell the political side of the house, that's your job. If you want me to get some members somewhere, I'll make sure to show up. And so I never really did too much in politics. And I always stayed away from it because I felt it was a dirty game. And I felt it was a place where liars succeeded. And it was just not the energy I wanted. And to the point where in December of 2019, one of my used to be best friends, I went to Cornell with, John Stedman Dez, who was the executive director of SCIU 1021, the big SCIU local, called me up and said, Seneca, you're really popular in Oakland. We need someone progressive to run for your city council district. And if you run, we'll give you all of our support. And that meant I would have been the one that, on the progressives role, everybody jumps in, you got 1,000 logos on your endorsement page and unlimited money and money from all these sources we're going to get into in a little
Yes.
bit. And I turned it down